So we are here on Breakthrough News. Very honored to be here with Petra Costa, the documentarian. Petra, thank you so much for being with us here on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Given that we're in the midst of this global pandemic, and it really seems where you are in Brazil that President Bolsonaro is almost just willfully ignoring all public health measures. I mean, it seems like a very dire situation there in terms of the relationship of government policy, public health needs, and what can happen with the pandemic. And so my first question really was just to you. I mean, what are you making of this? I mean, is this extraordinary to you? Does it seem an extension of what we've seen from Bolsonaro so far? How are you seeing this?
I think it's very consistent with his behavior since he has pronounced publicly, since he was a congressman. He has always been courting death. He is famous for having claimed in '94 that the mistake of the military dictatorship in Brazil was not to kill more people. He is against any type of public investment, against rights. He says openly that he's against rights for women, rights for black people, rights for gays. And right now, the virus actually has been quite powerful in making the mask fall, the fascist mask that hides itself behind a discourse of hate against the left, against the Workers' Party, and does not have any proposition in itself. So that mask is falling, and all that we're seeing is a discourse pro-death. So how do people actually manage to support that kind of discourse? And what we're seeing is that he's losing support. He's losing support from many right-wing governors and right-wing congressmen that were in his base initially, and now are seeing that he's a complete lunatic that has no respect for any human life, and are dropping their support. He still has 30% support, though, which is quite astonishing. But what has been very powerful is to see the solidarity that has been happening between civil society, governors, and congressmen that Congress just approved a law for renda mínima, minimum wage for all the population, and now they're waiting for Bolsonaro to sanction that law. And the governors have also gone against his recommendations and are doing lockdowns in their particular states.
Public health is so politicized, so you have one level of government saying, we have to lock down, we have to shut down, this is what we have to do. But if you close your business, it isn't, I guess maybe I'm asking your perception of this, but this is sort of something that I've been perceiving from afar, that I've seen somewhat similar, unfortunately, from some of the governors here taking it less seriously in the US, is that if you close your business or you don't go out, it's not just you're perceived as being safe, but then you're perceived as doing something partisan, something political. So to close your business, for coronavirus may also, it seems to me, open you up to be targeted as some sort of enemy of Bolsonaro or whatever it may be. So even beyond the public health effects, it seems to just drive an even deeper wedge in terms of at least the attempts to sow social division by Bolsonaro and his supporters.
Yes, he's definitely trying to do that, but we see him more and more isolated. So I don't think he's being successful in strengthening that division. I think he's losing a lot of ground and losing a lot of support. The media, most of the media in Brazil was particularly mild on him forever, and that's part of the reason why he was even elected. And now they're all outright against him, except for the evangelical channel that supports him. But so his strategy of creating more division, I think, is really not working, and he's losing support.
It's been, and something we've reported on here at Breakthrough News, to see even people in quarantine with these protests, the pots and pans protest that folks in Brazil who may be watching this may be happy to hear is spreading to the United States, where people are taking this on. But I mean, really, whole cities, it seems, and whole neighborhoods just shaking with this protest. Very powerful to see, I think, from afar, and maybe even there. I mean, I think are there seeds of hope here that are really, that are, you know, obviously on the other end of this pandemic, coming out of it, that something is bubbling up here around not just the sort of response to the pandemic and those problems, but the deeper social issues here? I mean, it does seem social solidarity is increasing there.
Yes, I think what was astonishing me and many other people was that Bolsonaro was doing atrocious things against the majority of the population, and no one was acting. So it took the pandemic for people to start hitting their pens, and now there's been, like, I think more than 15 days in a row that people are protesting inside their houses all over Brazil. So there's a level of social uprising against the president, which was much delayed and very necessary. So I think that's very positive. And also in terms of realizing how important it is to have a government that is doing social investments in healthcare and in welfare programs. In times of pandemics like this, that is proving itself worldwide to be the only solution. So this type of neoliberal discourse that says that the government should not exist or be minimal is falling apart. Who can defend that? I mean, it's the far right discourse is proving itself to be what it always has been, against human lives and in favor of this ghost economy that depends on us for it to exist.
I'm very curious your thoughts about, you know, maybe more a little bit from the angle of your craft. I mean, it seems like an interesting time for filmmaking. I mean, obviously in the here and now, people are isolated, but in the concept of physical isolation, I think films, television, music, all of these things are becoming, I mean, they're already social endeavors, but perhaps more and more stronger links between people watching the same thing at the same time, discussing it, all those sorts of things that are happening. I mean, I wonder how just that, your experience of that so far as someone who's making films, that's putting out content that is being consumed. You know, you're on Netflix here in the United States, all around the world. You know, what kind of reverberations you think? It just seems like an interesting time. That's kind of an unformed question. I don't know where I'm going with it, but I just feel like it seems like an interesting time to be a filmmaker.
Well, it is. It's hard to control the desire to be out filming what is happening. At the same time, I've been collecting what I see in the internet and asking friends that are in different places to send me what they can film. And I don't know what I'm going to do with that archive, but I think something very, very cinematic is happening at this moment worldwide, be it the empty streets, be it the people confined, and this perception of the fragility of our lives, how ephemeral it all is. And what is beautiful as well is that how the pandemic has forced us as a society to do what we've been resisting for so long, and what's leading the world to a state of catastrophe in terms of climate change, which is to stop. Like, all that movement, all that traveling, all the events, are they really necessary? Like is it really necessary to create these bubbles, these economic bubbles that are destroying the planet, and we're consuming so much of ourselves? And now that we're all forced to stay still and reevaluate the value of things, I hope we will really have a social epiphany from this moment.